Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.
Good afternoon and welcome to Working for You. I am Lesroy Williams. Thank you for tuning in to today's program, wherever you are. Today we are going to be discussing something important to all of us, and that is wellness. And we are celebrating, of course, Caribbean Wellness Week, which we will hear more about. But of course, we want to know what is sick about the Caribbean. What is sick about the Caribbean? And of course, how the Caribbean can be healthier. How people in the Caribbean, of course, people are our most precious resource. And so therefore, in terms of development, sustainable development, human development, economic development, and so on, people are at the center of all development. And in order for development to take place and to take place progressively, it simply means that people must be well. People must be healthy. And we must eradicate those things that make us unwell and make us sick. So I have here with me in the studio two health officials. I have with me Dr. Hazel Laws, who is no stranger to this program, and she is the Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health. And welcome to this program, Dr. Laws.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
And I also have the Non-Communicable Diseases Program Coordinator in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Marissa Carty.
Thank you.
Welcome to this program.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have both of you.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, Caribbean Wellness Week. What can you tell the audience about Caribbean Wellness Week, Dr. Laws?
Caribbean Wellness Week is really a week of activities aimed at promoting health and wellness. These activities are really aimed at fighting against non-communicable diseases or NCDs. So this year, the Caribbean Wellness Week will run from this week Friday, September 7, 2018, through to next Friday, September 14, 2018. All the activities that are planned will be carried out simultaneously on St. Kitts and in Nevis.
Right. Okay, so during that week, there will be a host of activities to sort of highlight lifestyles, healthy lifestyles. Now, what is the theme for this year's Caribbean Wellness Week?
Well, for this year, the theme is maintaining a healthy workforce through movement and diet. This year, our focus is on adults in the workforce. And so that is why our theme is coined the way it is.
Okay, now it goes back to what I was saying before in terms of, if we have a sick workforce, that of course is going to affect productivity.
Yes.
And it affect productivity is going to affect economic growth
That's right.
and economic development and so on. So you want a healthy workforce.
Yes.
And in order to have a healthy workforce, there are certain things that people must do
Exactly.
in order to remain healthy. Now, is the focus basically on physical health? Or is there some focus as well on psychological and emotional health? Because there are a lot of stresses and so on that sometimes come with work. But your focus is on physical, because health is really a holistic thing.
Right.
Can
indeed.
I suggest that increased physical activity and exercise promotes psychological health?
Yes, sure.
It does.
I totally agree.
Yes.
Now, you have a slogan as well for Caribbean Wellness Week, a slogan in St. Kitts. What is that slogan?
All right. So for 2018, the slogan for Caribbean Wellness Week is, and I quote, SKN, St. Kitts and Nevis, a nation on the move.
Okay.
So that's our slogan for this year.
A nation on the move.
Yeah.
I like the word move. Now, Caribbean Wellness and how it all came about. What is the background to it? How did it all get started?
Well, in 2007, the CARICOM heads of government convened a summit specifically to speak about the burden of NCDs within the Caribbean region. And this was a very groundbreaking event which happened in Port of Spain in Trinidad. And out of this process, they established Caribbean Wellness Day as a way to commemorate the event. And so on the second Saturday in the month of September every year since 2008, the Caribbean region has been celebrating Caribbean Wellness Day.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 2011 when the United Nations had their high-level meeting again to speak about the global effect of NCDs. Then the Pan American Health Organization commemorated that event with a Wellness Week.
Yes.
And so looking at these two events, we decided to amalgamate the two and have a Caribbean Wellness Week. So we have the second Saturday in September as the day, and then the week following will be our Wellness Week, where we have events and activities that speak towards health and well-being.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned NCDs, something that has become sort of a household name when it comes to health in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And the Caribbean governments recognize that this is a problem. This is what is sick about the Caribbean. Non-communicable diseases. Now, what are some of those non-communicable diseases that are affecting especially adults in the Caribbean?
Okay, the main non-communicable diseases affecting our people include conditions like diabetes and hypertension and their complications. So in the Federation, we have noted a number of patients with diabetes requiring amputations. We see a number of patients with diabetes and hypertension requiring the need for hemodialysis. So in other words, they end up with chronic kidney disease and they require hemodialysis. We see a number of patients every year being diagnosed with cancers. So these are some of the non-communicable diseases to which we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 83% of all the deaths in our federation are attributed to non-communicable diseases. So let me be more specific. The main causes of deaths within the federation include cancers, stroke or cerebrovascular accidents, diabetes complications, and heart attacks. So these are the main NCDs to which we are referring. Now, based on the medical evidence, there are a number of modifiable or changeable behavioral risk factors that lead or that cause individuals to develop and become diagnosed with these conditions. And these behavioral or lifestyle factors include: 1, physical inactivity. or a sedentary lifestyle. 2, unhealthy diet, meaning eating foods rich in fats, fried foods, too much carbohydrates, etc. The harmful use of alcohol and the use of tobacco. So these are some of the factors that as individuals we have control over in terms of our daily choices. And so that's why this year the Ministry of Health, we have chosen to focus on 2 of these 4 risk factors.
Yes.
Physical inactivity, so we want to engender or facilitate movement, and diet. The importance of having or choosing a healthy diet.
Okay, so how are you going to advocate for physical inactivity? What are some of the things that people can do to become physically active?
And
There are sometimes, we don't really set out to be physically inactive.
Right.
Sometimes you're driving, and sometimes you even want to go to the supermarket. It's very close by, and you jump into the vehicle and you go to the supermarket.
Right.
yes.
When really and truly what is happening there is that you're burning your gas and so on, when you can really walk and so on. Or in taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator and things like that. No?
Or even just getting up from your desk for a walk instead of taking up the phone to call somebody in the other office. Maybe just getting up and walking towards them and having that conversation and walking back. That's also an easy way for you to, get in some physical activity even within the workplace.
And so even if if my job requires that I sit at my desk between 9 to 12, on the hour, every hour, at 10, at 11 o'clock, I can make a concerted effort to really stand and maybe go to the photocopier machine or do something physical,
Yes.
rather than just sit at my desk between 9 and 12. And so there are some innovative ways to really get in the increase in physical activity that we want to promote.
Right. And sometimes, of course, we live in a very fast-paced, or the pace of life is becoming faster and faster. And sometimes people don't really have the time. Or they will tell you they don't have the time. I suppose we can make time, but they don't have the time to cook healthy meals. And so therefore, it's easy to pick up something at the supermarket, to place it in the microwave. It's easy to buy fast food.
And so what
And-
we really want during this upcoming Caribbean Wellness Week is really to convince the public as to the importance of physical activity, exercise, and eating right, to the point whereby when you look at your calendar, if you determine that, hey, it's really tight, and you need to realize the importance of eating right and physical activity, to make allotment for it in your diary. So in other words, we want you to actively make time, set aside time to exercise, because at the end of the day, it's these little daily choices that's going to foster better health outcomes. And that's what we really want.
Right.
And the same can be said for the diet as well. Setting aside that time, even if you try and you cannot do it every day, if you say, okay, 3 days a week, we can try and see if we can have a family dinner where everyone can sit down and have a well-balanced, healthy meal. These are some of the things. It's going to take a lot of discipline. People will have to change a lot of their lifestyle in order to get these things in. But if you make the decision that this is something that you want for
Important.
yourself, that you realize it's important to maintain a healthy lifestyle, then you would make those decisions.
Right. It's important that you mention that word discipline, because I think that has a lot to do in terms of lifestyle. If you have good discipline, of course, that engenders a healthy lifestyle. But if you don't have the discipline at all, it doesn't engender, of course, a healthy lifestyle. And therefore, it means that if people feel good about themselves, and if people really feel that they're being productive, have good self-esteem, have a healthy perception of their own bodies and so on, that will help them to be involved in better lifestyle choices.
Can I add? At present, our life expectancy is increasing. It's at 76 years. All right. So if an individual at present can expect to live up until their late 70s, early 80s. In other words, there is an additional 20, 30 years to life. Now, I think each individual should really pause and consider, how do I want those, additional years to be spent? Do I want to spend it in a wheelchair? Do I want to spend it confined to a bed where somebody has to come and provide assistance with activities of daily living? Or do I want a good quality of life in these later years? And eating right and exercise helps or will help us to achieve that, meaning good quality of life in these later years. And so again, we want to convince everyone about the importance of moving, exercise, and eating right.
Yes, and in terms of Caribbean wellness, this may not have to do with diet and all of that sort of a thing, but we are not well in the Caribbean. You spoke about the increase in longevity in terms of life and 76 and so on. But a lot of what we have in the Caribbean now, yes, we have people dying of NCDs, but a sickness in our society of crime and violence that is taking away the lives of so many of our young people. They are not well. And if anybody tells them that they are well, they are not well. This type of lifestyle and this type of behavior is not well. It is eating at the fabric of our Caribbean societies as well.
Yeah.
And so while we focus on all of these things about the eating and all of this sort of a thing, that too is a problem. So Caribbean wellness must include that, because it is too much now.
Can I also make a suggestion?
Yes.
Younger persons, young men, young women can become involved in physical activity. For example, football clubs, netball clubs, tennis clubs, swimming clubs. And that, sort of engagement can have a positive or ripple effect in terms of decreasing some of what you just spoke
Sure.
about in terms of
The healthy lifestyle
yes.
can counteract
Exactly.
yes,
this sort
yes,
of antisocial
yes.
behavior.
Because participation in a sporting activity and facilitates some amount of discipline, etc., and so less time to be involved in
And energy
violent-
being placed into something positive.
Positive, yes.
You're
yes.
channeling it into something
Something
positive,
positive.
rather than something antisocial.
Yes.
Right. Now, there must be a huge burden from NCDs. I mean, it's not just about, a personal lifestyle, or it's just in terms of, the personal. But when you take all of it collectively, it is a real burden on the national resources. personally, of course, it's already a burden on the family in which you are,
Yes.
and so on. And it's a burden, of course, on the workforce,
Exactly.
you know, affecting productivity and so on. Now, what plan is there to sort of get others on board in terms of helping with this problem? What the Ministry of Health, what plan does it really have in terms to partner with others, you know, an education drive, to bring this message into the workforce and the families and all of that sort of a thing?
Well, okay, go ahead.
From the, I'll allow you to talk after, but the Ministry of Health, we have developed a new non-communicable disease action plan. It's being edited as we speak, and we are going to seek cabinet approval. So this new action plan is going to provide us the roadmap to guide our activities and interventions as we move forward. It's from 2018 to 2022. All right, and so it's a number of interventions that's going to help to decrease the burden to which you just spoke.
Certainly. So it has to be on the policy level,
Yes,
of course. For
precisely.
example, I know a number of countries have banned smoking in public places. Sometimes in schools and so on, they, you know, decide that we are not going to have all the sugary drinks.
Yes.
We're not going to sell them in our cafeterias and that sort of a thing because of course, childhood obesity.
Yes.
So it is much more than just talk
Definitely.
or taxing, putting a tax on alcohol and tobacco.
Yes.
I find that, you know, tobacco is very cheap here in St. Kitts. When I went to England, I went into a store and I saw a box of cigarettes that was £11. And I was like, I'm doing the math. And I'm saying multiply 11 by 4, that is $44. That can buy 4 packs of cigarettes here.
So that's another thing that the ministry is presently working on, our tobacco policy. As you know, there is a World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. It's really an international treaty to which the Federation has signed onto. And part of our obligation as a federation is really to develop a tobacco policy, which speaks to some of the things that you just referred to. Are we going to allow tobacco smoking in open spaces? So we need to look at that. Taxation in terms of what taxes can we consider in terms of detracting or decreasing the demand for tobacco. So our policy, we are collaborating with the Attorney General's chambers in developing an appropriate tobacco policy for the Federation.
Although I must say though that here in St. Kitts among our young people, there is not so much of a tobacco culture in terms of smoking as there is a weed or ganja or marijuana culture in terms of smoking. Is that related so much to the NCDs as well?
Smoking of marijuana, based on the literature, is can be associated with some mental health, psychological challenges. For example, schizophrenia. Persons or individuals who are born with the genetic predisposition, if they are a particular gene, that is, if they are then exposed to significant amounts of marijuana through smoking, they can develop schizophrenia.
In how they behave, you see the aggression,
it affects
the paranoia,
yes,
and so on.
Right. So, based on the literature, smoking marijuana, can lead to, mental health illnesses and psychological challenges in some persons, not all. Not all.
In some persons.
In some persons.
Dr. Carty?
And just coming out of a meeting recently, the tobacco industry has been advertising or marketing more and more what we refer to as electronic nicotine delivery systems. And these seem to be high among the young people. They tend to go for these as opposed to the cigarettes. And so what they're finding,
that has nicotine in it.
It's yes.
But
so
it's vapor.
Yes,
it's
more
vapor.
of a liquid that they use. And so what you find is that some of the research, like I said, these are very new products, so the research is not extensive. But some of the research is pointing to the fact that these products can be used as gateway to either smoking the tobacco or smoking the marijuana. So these are some of the things that we have to look at when it comes to even developing our tobacco policy, and especially if we want to safeguard our young people.
Okay, good. Now, Dr. Laws, what is the sort of a burden, if you can speak to, that NCDs, because you mentioned 83% of all deaths in the Federation are somehow related to an NCD.
Yes.
What burden does this place on our national health system?
It places a significant burden on our national health system because a significant proportion of the health budget, goes towards the provision of health care to persons who are diagnosed with these NCDs. For example, I mentioned on an average every year, about 40 persons require amputations. On an average over the past 5 years, we have about 85 to 90 persons being newly diagnosed with cancers. And as you know, cancer treatment is significant in terms of cost. We just started the oncology unit at the JNF General Hospital, and persons with a cancer diagnosis can receive chemotherapy at the JNF General Hospital. And as you know, we provide hemodialysis services. As at the end of 2017, we had about 21 patients on hemodialysis. This just gives you a summary of the costing and the burden that the NCDs are placing on our health system.
Okay. Now what are some of the activities that are planned for Caribbean Wellness Week? Dr. Carty.
Well, we have some very exciting activities, I must say. Our activities start on Friday in Nevis. They have a sneaker design competition that they run, and it's mainly a social media competition, so they will be having that. On Saturday the 8th, both islands will be participating in the Caribbean Wellness Day Walk. In St. Kitts, we are partnering with Elite Fitness, and the route that is suggested is from Caribbean Cinema down Keon Street, up Wellington Road to the airport, and then back to Caribbean Cinema. So it's a pretty lengthy walk, but I think people will enjoy it. So we are inviting persons. The registration process is still open, and we're inviting persons to register for that walk. In Nevis, the route is from Villa Grounds to Samuel Hawkins Drive, along the Pinneys Main Road to the bypass, and then around the roundabout back to Villa. So both walks should be very interesting. St. Kitts, we start at 5 a.m. In Nevis, they start at 6 a.m. And then the afternoon on Saturday, we have the Fittest of the Fit in Nevis. Now, this is a competition that is done in collaboration with Fit Wellness Center. And so he has teams. This is Mr. David Walwyn, has teams coming from across the Caribbean, including St. Kitts and Nevis. And they will be competing at the Fit course there in Nevis. Registration for that event closes today. However,
Yes.
so we want to encourage persons to be a part of that. On Sunday, we have our faith-based health screenings. So what we have encouraged is our health centers to choose a church within their district, and they will be going to this church and they will be carrying out health screenings and also a fitness assessment. Yes, so we are getting the churches involved in our.
It's amazing that you call it faith-based health screening. And was that deliberate? Because of course, our faith, our spirituality
Yes, definitely.
is also tied
Linked to
to our
health.
wellness,
Yes, yes,
holistic,
Yeah.
holistic
Care.
health and care.
yes.
So,
Yes. And then in the evening of that, again in Nevis, they have the Mr. Physique show. This is pretty much like a Miss Universe pageant, but for men. And again, men from across the Caribbean will be participating in this event, and the registration also closes today. And I would like to mention for those who are interested that the prize is $1,000 US. So if you're interested and you think you have a good physique, gentlemen, then please register for the competition. Then on Monday 10th, we have Health and Family Life Fitness Assessment. The Ministry of Education is collaborating with the Ministry of Health for this activity. And so they will be carrying out fitness assessment within the schools and the Ministry of Education. So we are happy that they're on board with us, making it a holistic activity. On Tuesday, we are promoting the consumption of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables with our Take 5. So what we would like to do is encourage our local businesses, all of our local businesses, to provide a light fruit snack within the workplace for their employees for that day, as a way to encourage them to now start getting in that 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. On Wednesday, we have our wellness in the workplace. Again, we're encouraging the businesses to work along with us, because remember we said that we're targeting adults in the workforce. What we would like to do is encourage them to have an extra 5 minutes per day, or it's on that day specifically, but even ongoing, where they can engage in some stress relieving activity. So whether it's a deep breathing exercise, whether it's just to get up and walk away from their desk or whatever for a while, even stretching and just drinking some water. These are some of the activities we want to encourage on that day. And then on Thursday, we have our National Health and Wellness Festival that will be held in Independence Square from 9:30 to 3:30 p.m. The booths that will be involved in that day would be environmental health, and they will be sharing with the public vector, food and water safety activities. One of our partners, Lake Health and Wellness, is collaborating with Gender Affairs to promote men's health. And both of these organizations will actually, coming out of this activity, be hosting a chronic disease self-management program workshop starting on October 3rd. So you realize that we don't want Caribbean Wellness Week to just be a one-off event. There will be ongoing activities even coming out of the week, so that we can encourage the nation to continue to be healthy. The Diabetes Association will also be there to do blood glucose screening and blood pressure screening. Fit Wellness Center will be providing fitness tests, body fat calibrations, and much more. The National HIV/AIDS Secretariat will also be there to provide HIV rapid testing and promoting health information on sex, gender, self-esteem, and sisterhood. We also will have the Chronic Disease Project to provide general information on chronic kidney disease, as well as community nursing and much more. On that day, on Thursday, in Nevis, they are calling that day the day of meditation. So that's a day for stress relief as well, where you can just relax for that day. And then we bring the curtains down on Friday 14th with our National Sneaker Day. This is a day where we're encouraging persons within the workforce to wear your sneakers Now, we don't necessarily want it to be a dress down day. We want you to still dress for work, but wear your sneakers to encourage the walking and the physical activity. And then in the afternoon at 4 p.m., from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Marriott, we have our grand soca size. This is an event where we have a high cardio activity. We're inviting everyone to come out. It's a free event. It will be at Marriott. Come out, soca size, move, get moving. That's the idea, SKN, a nation on the move.
Okay, now, Dr. Laws, before we look at, the importance of a healthy diet and so on, are there any studies done in terms of NCDs and gender? Do they affect, certain NCDs affect men more than women? Or do you know of anything of that sort of a study? Here in the Federation, for example, in terms of men, are more men having an NCD or women, or has there been any studies done?
Okay, based on data that we have coming out of the Health Information Unit and the last SEP survey, obesity for one, right? About 40% of our population overweight and obese, and there's a females. Am I
Yes,
right?
you're right,
Yes,
yeah.
in terms of being
Obesity.
more, yeah.
Well, they don't call it obesity, it's just say it's women them round up.
Okay. All right. So that's one. So we disaggregated the data, and yes, women are more affected than males where obesity is concerned. And in terms of diabetes and hypertension, looking at the data, it's tilted towards females. Yes. So females are significantly more affected than males, where just basic diabetes and hypertension are concerned.
And that is basically related to the obesity.
Well, yes,
Yes,
because as I
indeed.
said, it's the physical inactivity and the unhealthy diet leads to the obesity, which in turn puts you at an increased risk
for diabetes.
of developing the diabetes and the hypertension.
Okay.
So that's why for this year we are underscoring two main messages. One, physical activity. We want persons to pause, look at your lifestyle and your schedule. How can I become more active? Is it that I park further when I'm coming into town and just walk into town, go to the bank and do your daily your business activities? Or is it that I can choose a half hour every morning and walk, half hour every afternoon and walk? So that's 5 days a week. Because based on the evidence and the literature, it is recommended that you should try and allot 2.5 hours per week for physical exercise. So it's after you've engaged in physical exercise for 2.5 hours, your body begins to feel the benefit of that increased physical activity. All right, so how can you squeeze that in? All right, and so for some of us it's a challenge. I try to secure 3 mornings a week where I go and I walk for an hour. It's not easy to achieve that, but you have to make a concerted effort in so doing. And then eating right. What can I do to change my diet? Okay, I've been trying to be a flexi.
Yeah, but the question that I would ask is, underlying that, what must I do to change my diet? But why must I change it? I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay.
Why must I change it? I think is what people want to know. Why is a healthy diet so important? And what do you mean by a healthy diet?
Right. Okay. And
Because
I
what might be
understand the
healthy to you
question.
might not be healthy to me.
Right, I agree.
So I want to know what is a healthy diet,
Okay. So
and why a healthy diet, and why I must change my diet.
right. So let's start at the beginning. Why do we need a healthy diet? A healthy diet is important for the normal functioning of the body. In the sense that our body needs energy in order to function. We get our energy from the food that we eat. When the food is broken down, it provides nutrients, and those nutrients are used for the body functions. Body functions are internal, daily body functions, and then we have just the ability to get up and walk and to speak and to see, and these are other functions that our body needs this energy for. Now, when we speak about healthy diet, we're speaking about those specific foods now that we eat. So if I take it on a broader term, you're talking about your proteins. So those would be your meats and so forth. You have your carbohydrates, so your whole grains, and then you have your fats, so your oils and so forth. But in terms of referring to what is healthy in those areas, you want, for example, when you're speaking about your proteins, you want to have either to go as far as saying plant-based, meaning no animal protein. That's one way that you can get a healthy diet. Or if you do use animal protein, then it should be the leaner aspect of those proteins. So you would want to use if you use chicken, for example, your chicken breast, because that's the leaner part of the chicken.
But is the fat that tastes good?
And I understand that, Mr. Williams.
Is the fat taste really
yes,
good?
and I understand that.
That
but
is
then
hard to resist.
When you speak about the fat now, you have to speak about the types of fat, because there is healthy fat. Don't get me wrong. We need fat in our bodies. But there's healthy fat and then there's unhealthy fat. So you'll find that the fat that you get from your meats are generally saturated fats, which are unhealthy. And then when those fats are burnt, they turn into trans fats, which is even more unhealthy for the body. So we have to be careful about, yes, fat tastes good, but if you want to get your fats in, then you would want to choose healthier fats that maybe come from plants. So your olive oil, your grapeseed oil, these are your healthier
you need
fats.
to tell him how he can prepare his food so it's as
tasty,
as the pork that he loves.
Right? So it's and then when you speak about your fruits and vegetables, everybody's like, well, I don't like to eat vegetables, but I'm sure you can find at least one or two vegetables that you like. Finding ways to prepare them so that they are tasty or that they are desirable, because a lot of times we eat with our eyes. So what we see on our plate has to look just as good as it tastes. And once we're able to do that, then I think persons will be able to change their diet accordingly.
Good, eh?
As I said, it all depends on how it is prepared. But getting back to why it is important, a healthy diet is also important for disease prevention. We find that a lot of I spoke about the trans fats and the saturated fats. These can actually cause damage within the body, within our blood vessels, causing atherosclerosis, which can lead to heart attack and strokes. So and also when you eat certain high level of meats and so forth in your diet, and of fats as well, leading to diabetes and those things. So disease prevention is also a part of eating a healthy diet. Also maintaining a healthy weight. We spoke about at length about the obesity. And the final thing I would mention here for why it's important for us to eat a healthy diet would be just to have a good quality life. Right. Dr. Law spoke about the fact that we now have this longevity. We are living a little longer. But even in living a little longer, how do you want that life to be? Do you want to spend it lying in a bed, or do you want to be active and be about doing what you want to do for yourself, being independent? And St. Kitts and Nevis people, we like to be independent. That's one thing I've realized. So these are some of the things to consider when you want to make those lifestyle changes.
Right. Some people like to eat a lot, but they sleep as much as they eat. So they eat and they sleep. Okay? If someone is eating so much, why are they always sleeping and seem as though they don't have any energy? Isn't food supposed to give you energy?
Yes.
What is the reason? They eat a lot, but as soon as they eat, What is responsible for that?
What I can say is
People say, people say niggeritis and ethnic fatigue and all kinds of things they call it. And there are some people who are just sleeping, but yet they're always eating.
Right. You could look at it from two angles. One, just from the fact that they've eaten too much. And so what happens is that the body now has to take a lot of the blood that would have been used for other functions in the body in order to digest the food. And so what that does is creates that fatigue feeling within them. And so they feel drowsy, the niggeritis, they feel drowsy. Also, it could also be a situation where they simply have a low metabolism. So they eat a lot, but the body cannot consume what they eat quickly enough. And so you find that they become sluggish or they can't function as well as they used to. And that's one of the reasons why you would find that persons become very fatigued or sluggish after eating a heavy meal. Generally, you would want to advise persons like that to eat smaller portions, but maybe more. So whereas they might eat maybe only 2 or 3 meals a day, what they would do is break up those 3 meals and have maybe 6 meals, but have them in a smaller portion so that their bodies are able to use the
Okay.
better.
Now, how is diet related to mood and mental health? Are there certain mood foods and foods that affect mental health and so on, food that affect your sexual libido and all
wow.
of that?
all right, so
Specific foods, I wouldn't really want to go into that, but yes, there are links between the food that we eat and our moods. One of the reasons for that is that sometimes when we eat, our bodies produce neurotransmitters that has a, what should I say? That has an effect on our moods. Some of these neurotransmitters, for example, can help to heighten our moods and make us feel good. And that's one of the reasons why for persons, especially who have mental illness in terms of depression or and even anxiety, they tend to move towards eating these comfort foods like chips and ice cream and burgers. These foods, they have a connection with them, an emotional connection with them, because these are foods that make them feel good. And that is why they turn to them. And then now these foods in turn cause problems within them. And basically it's kind of like compounding the problem.
Right.
Because when you eat these foods, you tend to feel better, but then you get fatter. You become obese, and then you start to feel bad about the fact that
Like
you're gaining
someone
weight.
once told me that when I am under stress, I eat a lot.
Yes.
I eat and I eat and I eat.
and then you become obese.
And as a result, you become obese.
Yes.
And so physical exercise can counteract that.
Yes.
Because one of the benefits of exercise is an improvement of cognitive function. And it helps you it boosts your energy levels and it boosts your mood. So that's a positive, one of the positive effects of physical exercise.
Now, what are some of other positive effects of physical exercise?
All right. As I said before, as individuals, as adults, we should aim to achieve at least 2.5 hours of physical exercise per week, and the benefits are innumerable. All right. So exercise really facilitates longevity. All right. It decreases your risk of developing hypertension and diabetes. It reduces your risk of developing cardiovascular disease, for example, heart attack and strokes. And in terms of persons who already have hypertension, exercise reduces your blood pressure. All right. So if you're already diagnosed with diabetes and hypertension, exercise can help you achieve better values in terms of your blood pressure values can come down, and you get better control of your diabetes. And so when you do your fasting blood sugar and your blood sugar after eating, 2 hours after eating, you get better values just merely be engaging in physical activity. And for those individuals who are diagnosed with high cholesterol, hypercholesterolemia, they have a problem with high cholesterol in their blood, physical exercise helps you to achieve better control. All right, now high impact physical activity like walking and jogging helps with bone health. All right, so for females who are approaching menopause, who have already passed that age, they are at risk of osteoporosis, meaning their bones
Low density in the bones.
right. So high impact exercises like walking and jogging helps to reduce your bone loss, and it helps your bones to remain healthy.
And if I may add just one thing here, there are studies to show that when you are more active in your youth, especially for the girls who do the sporting exercises and so forth, what they have found is that when they get older, their bone density loss is less than individuals who did not have that type of activity within their youth.
And you mentioned about twice so far in this program the importance of psychological health.
Exercise helps that.
Right, and so even for persons who are diagnosed with depression, physical exercise alone helps in terms of improving their symptoms.
It clears the head, because I know, for example, when I was at university, and for example, you're writing a paper
Yes.
and you're stuck.
Yes.
You just leave it, you take a walk,
Ah,
and then you come back to it, and you
the
get
answers
that
just flow.
that is correct.
Yes, yes. Exercise prevents falls and fractures. As you know, older adults, in particular females, again because of menopause and a reduction in their bone density, they are at risk of falling and fractures. And so exercise helps to reduce their risk of falling. All right, it improves sleep. So there are innumerable benefits from increasing physical activity and exercise.
Okay, good. Now we have to go to the phone lines. We'll continue our discussion, but I'm sure there are some very well people out there who want to know how they can even get better. So we are going to go to the phone lines, and the numbers to call are 465-2555. That's the local number. And the overseas number is 1-718-577-2916. That's 1-718-577-2916. We await your calls. Okay. We can continue our discussion. What are some forms of exercise that people can get involved in? Types of exercise.
Okay.
We spoke about it in general, but what are some types of exercises that people can get involved in?
Okay, if there are basically three types of exercises really. There is the aerobic or endurance exercise, and the aim is really to improve your heart or cardiovascular and lung respiratory endurance.
There's someone on the line, Dr. Laws. Working for you, good afternoon.
Question to the doctor.
Sure.
Now, when I first learned, I'm a man, eh? It's me good. But when I first learned that when women reach menopause, that they would have lost their bone structure. That's how I learned it. They would have lost their bone structure. And it was recommended then, but a long time ago, they must drink a lot of milk so that they could get back some calcium retention. And I also read, not very long ago, where young women drink so much sodas, the sodas cause a problem to their bone structure. So up to when the early 20s and so forth, they start suffering symptoms like after menopause. And I also know that they say when menopause, the woman, the body no longer make estrogen. And estrogen give them the sex drive and all of that and so forth. Why not some women are becoming menopause, or especially at a kind of old age, some of them behave kind of like they have a mental problem. But what would you recommend for these women to take? I know they had estrogen pills and all of that, but if I don't need to still apply them, I don't know if whatever, but I just want to know. So that's my little bit for now.
All right. In terms of women who are approaching menopause or who have already experienced menopause, as we mentioned earlier, it's important for them to exercise, like walking, jogging. The high impact exercises helps to improve their bone health. There's also room for taking supplements, calcium supplements. That also helps to maintain their bone health and bone structure. And eating healthily, Dr. Cathy,
Yes.
also plays a part and also helps to facilitate good health during these years. You want to comment?
I think that's
Okay. We were talking about the different types of exercises.
Right. So
We
as
started out with aerobic.
right, aerobic or endurance exercises include like walking, cycling, or swimming, jogging. These exercises really helps to improve your cardiovascular function, your heart pumping, that blood throughout the rest of your body, and it facilitates breathing, good breathing, deep breathing. It facilitates better lung function. So that's important. However, you need to do flexibility and stretching exercises, because this is important in helping you maintain good movement of your joints and muscles. All right, so some persons before walking, they stretch at the beginning and stretch at the end of their walking episode, and then resistance exercise. And so for me, at least 3 days of a week, I include some weight training. That's important in helping us to maintain our muscle strength, because as you age, everybody, as you age, you lose muscle strength. That just comes with aging. That's a part of the aging process. And so resistance exercise helps to delay that effect.
Working for you, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Williams,
Good afternoon, sir.
and your wonderful guest you have there.
Yes, 2 of
Good
them.
afternoon.
Yes, if it's 2 persons, you're going to get called from is me and my partner, Emmy Long Challengers.
Okay.
Now, the freest thing to anybody is exercise. One can exercise 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. But hear this now. To eat healthy, to keep up this habit of eating healthy, which the most healthiest food is what you grow in your yard yourself.
That's right.
And whether they come from above the earth or below the earth, you haven't put any additives in them. But here the big problem now, this national pest that we got destroying anything people plant in the, even on the landing in a pot. You throw some herbs and thyme in a pot, you cannot inherit them because the national pest called monkey all over the place. And as soon as they see a little leaf shrub about the earth, they're going to pull it up. So to eat healthy, it costs in people because nobody at all could afford to buy the right food to eat out of the marketplace on a 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. So my question is this: what are you all doing to help to eliminate these national termite called monkey? Unless we don't work on them, we reversing backward. I listen over here. Thank you.
I want to thank the caller for their question, and I must say, from the Ministry of Health's perspective, I cannot say that we can do anything about the pest itself, the monkeys. However, I do know that the Ministry of Agriculture is
Right,
looking
yeah.
into what can be done from their point of view, and that's the ministry that would have the
Yeah.
authority to work on that. But I do understand the caller's concerns, because more and more the fruits and the vegetables, what we're considering the healthy foods, to buy them from the supermarket
They're
is
more
very
expensive.
expensive. So we do understand that. And that is one of the reasons why we do encourage the farm in your own garden. However, because of these challenges, even persons trying to have their own little garden is being difficult. However, I would still advocate for the farm in your own vegetables and having your fruits and so forth in your gardens, because you know exactly what you're putting into them, how they're growing and everything. So I would still advocate for having your own backyard garden.
Okay, now, since the focus this year is on maintaining a healthy workforce through movement and diet, what are some of the activities and interventions that can be adopted in the workforce, the workplace, that is, to maintain a healthy workforce?
Like I said, coming out of Caribbean Wellness Week, what we want to do is make sure that this program is a sustainable program, and so that it's not just for this week, but that workplaces and businesses can carry on this activity throughout the year. So one of the things that the Ministry of Health, coming from the NCD desk, what we are planning to do
There is
is...
a caller, so
Oh,
and then we'll
sure,
go
no
back to you.
problem. Yeah.
Working for you, good afternoon.
Never mind, he said.
Okay,
Oh.
we've lost that caller. Could you continue
Okay,
that,
sure.
Kathy?
So I was saying, from the NCD desk, what we're hoping to do is work with our businesses to provide or to help them to build a health and wellness program within the business. And so what we want to do is encourage them to have at least one employer that they can put in charge of a wellness program within the business, and then we will work with them to develop a program that they can implement.
Okay. Working for you, good afternoon.
Working for all workplace, yeah. You're going on.
How are you doing, sir? Jam down?
I'm all right, my buddy.
Okay, good.
The debate is very informative.
Yes.
I love that. And
Okay.
the young lady there, she's sounding so nice. She putting the nail and she putting the hammer and the nail.
There are two of them, you know, so I don't know which one you
my
mean.
darling, I would like to ask a few questions. Why is it the agriculture department is not looking into that the local farmers try to work with the average poor person on the road who will buy from them. You find out you go down the market, all kind of people come from all over the place, want to sell a bag of, for instance, seasoned pepper, want to sell it for $6, very soon be 10. Well, I want to know if they're running a little way to demand them who sell weed on the road, you know. That is where we really want to know. You understand? If I want people to eat healthy, the agriculture department must play a role in these. No pound of potato supposed to be for $6 and $7. No dashing supposed to be for $6 and $7. No other supposed to be for $5 no pound. You understand what I'm saying? That's right.
I do.
And this is the problem. People are going to eat healthy when they're doing these kind of things. They're going from the farmer who working hard in the mountain, taking a lot of rain to get these things done, buying the stuff cheap, and then want to come down the market to kill people. Where are we going as a people? Where are we going as a people? You understand what I'm saying? That's right.
Certainly, Jam down. I certainly agree with you that economics.
And this is where I want the lady to stress on. No kind of encouragement to tell a poor person who got backyard garden to encourage them in that kind of way there. Because we should be really encouraging the person in the backyard garden to give them all the encouragement. But when they go with the stuff to sell, you got people going, whether selling and buying the stuff them and coming in the market, come kill the poor people them.
Oh.
This thing never happening in Naka, you know. You gotta bring your thing to Naka and we go up and the little patch up there by the fire station.
Okay, jam down.
Have a good day, let's watch.
You too. Take care.
I really thank the caller for his useful comments because in order for individuals to eat healthily, you have to have access to the healthy food, which is the fruits and the vegetables.
Yes.
And he touched a number of points, and I think the Ministry of Agriculture is already working on some of the issues that he highlighted in terms of making healthy foods more affordable. And I'm thinking as I listen to him, if more locals engage in farming, I think there's need for that. Because there is a boat that comes in
From Dominica.
from and St. Vincent, I think, on a weekly or fortnightly basis that brings food. But St. Kitts has good soil. It's
We do.
fertile. I remember growing up and we grew much of what we ate, and we ate healthily, and we ate from the backyard. And so I also would like, those listening, to be encouraged in terms of backyard gardening and local farming, because in so doing, the healthy foods will be made more accessible to our people.
Working for you. Good afternoon.
Yes, let's why. Jam long again. Let's why. I want to strengthen Miss Law's point there. Miss Laws,
Hello.
them boat where you see coming from Dominica and St. Vincent, the food stuff, the Eddie and so can't match St. Kitts, eh? Because St. Kitts, Eddie and potato could be in your house, in your hot house, for a week, and then they can't last a half a day. You understand, Miss Laws?
Yes.
And this is the comparison we have to make the difference. We have it all, and instead these young people, you up and down killing one another with gun. Go and till the soil. Go and till the soil. A lot of them got lucky about Bracha around here. Because they want a young fella down Church Street, to mix some of it. Mix some of Bracha into his leadership, otherwise, fail to tell the police here, A lot what Wexit Bounty and Bounty was saying about, you need some militantness in leadership, in government. Bounty is right. He's dead gone. God bless him, my friend. He's right. But he's stressed on the Fidel Castro part, and that's why people were saying, this and that, and he's militant. No! At some time, you got to be a little militant. These young people got to make themselves active.
Okay, jam down.
Like watching around here, a lot of them, because a lot of them still feel like they must live in the country and don't pay social security, nothing, and dying on what? Have a good day, let's say.
Okay, jam down.
And I want to underscore his point, because in the 70s and in the 80s, you had potatoes being produced on the sugar estates. So at that time, the sugar estates not only produced sugar cane, but they also produced other crops.
Nuts as well. Remember
Nuts,
that?
yes. And they had a long life, shelf life. And so he has a point there. And thus the background to my making the suggestion for local farmers to take up the challenge in helping us to provide the healthy foods so that it can be accessible to our people.
Right. Okay, so we were talking about what are some of the things that can be done in the workplace, what are some activities, of course, in the communities, and of course in families to adopt to ensure health and wellness. If we can look at those, and then we are going to end our program. Another caller. Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon again.
Yes.
I am so glad to hear you are talking about local food, agricultural production. But every time you build a house, that's land you're using. And St. Kitts had no land that you took from any forest to build houses. It's a sugar land, which is agricultural land. We need houses, we need a lot of things. We land to build hotels and all of that. But we need to stop building houses the way we're doing. We need to look at the European construct. I saying so all along, and I can keep on saying so, because the European countries, they're big, but but they're producing food for hundreds of years because of how they do the housing development. They still got forests, they still got other meadows, but ain't touch. So that's a factor we have to take into serious consideration. Instead of spreading out in a small 68 square mile island, building house. The doctor mentioned something about food was grown on the sugar estates. That's where they used to refer to as.
Hello?
So, but
Yes, we are hearing you.
you're hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Yes, I was saying that they used to do what you call intercropping on the estate, where they used to plant other crops along with sugar cane. But that was good, very good.
Very good.
But you don't see that no more. So when we withdraw land from, which was formerly sugar land, to build houses, we reducing the amount of acreages that would be there for agricultural production and other things. And when you're going to produce, okay, look at the Chinese. The Chinese, okay, we ain't on the scale with them, but the Chinese have good education. The people are educated, the people are healthy, and the people are industrious, amongst other things. Why people go there to, and a huge population, so they can produce cheaply. So they go there and get good quality things, produce at a cheap cost. But our people around here don't seem to understand that. And I don't believe we can understand. We can be always importing food and we import more and more.
Okay.
Nothing has changed because we reducing our acreages of our land year after year. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you for your input. Working for you, good afternoon.
Yes, Lesroy, I'm back again.
Yes.
I want to support Jamdong and my partner Emil. Now, it seems like unless we are sitting down by at this in the office, our advice gone in the garbage.
I don't think that's totally
I was
so.
born on a sugar estate where you had llamas, mule, cattle, hog, all kind of thing. And like one of the ladies said, every year, every sugar estate, they would give out 2 cane field land, one for yam and one for potato. And the parents them had food all year round. And all of a sudden, they kill it from the time Nako, Mr. Bratter done with Nako. Not one of them take up the habit of planting food on the estate land. They look into the ocean for the ships to come in to bring in food. And we got the soil here, like the lady said, we got the most fertile soil. 3 feet, 36 inches of fertile soil we got here. I know how we go. And what they doing? The land them growing grass. Well, why they don't listen to us? Up on the street and we telling them how they know how. Why you mean we got the right in the office because you don't go there for them to take up our suggestion? We ain't supposed to be starving with no food and we got land here. But they better listen to us. Because Mr. Bradshaw come back alive, which is impossible. He will shut down a lot of people and go plant the cane and the food that we could get food to eat. Listen to our man.
Yes, my brother.
Thank you.
We are listening, but we are also out of time. Yes, we have good fertile soil, but unless people are willing to dirty their hands in this good soil, and putting your hands in the good soil will make your hands good too. So, what were we saying in terms of the workplace and the community and the family before we end this program? What are some of the healthy lifestyle practices that we can adopt in these contexts?
From the community level, I would suggest organizing recreational games and sporting activities that could be competitions among the communities. I find that we like competition, and once we can have persons participating in these competitions, that would help to increase our physical activity, especially promoting health and well-being.
And the same thing with the workplaces, because you can have smaller companies, smaller organizations competing amongst themselves, and the bigger companies competing amongst themselves in terms of dance, athletics,
That's
football,
right.
netball, organized programs of that nature.
And also at the community level, from a healthy diet perspective, organizing these I think they call it farmers markets
Oh.
in the US and in North
Yes,
America.
yes.
So we could have farmers markets within the various communities where persons can display their provisions and so forth, so that the community, instead of always having to come to Bastille, they can go to these areas within the communities to purchase their fruits and vegetables. They could also organize healthy food competitions where persons can make dishes of healthy foods, and persons will be able to see what a healthy plate looks like and so forth. So these are some of the things from a community level perspective that can be done.
And the youth groups in the community can lead the charge in this regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much for sharing today. Is there anything that you would like to say before we leave?
We would just want to, from my point of view, I would just want to encourage the nation on a whole to come out and participate in our Caribbean wellness activities. These activities are geared to helping our nation to learn more about what it is to have a healthy life, healthy well-being, and so we would really like for them to participate in these activities.
From where I sit, I want to appeal to individuals in the Federation to realize that life is a choice. And if we choose daily to be more physically active, and if we choose daily to eat more healthily, in the long run, we are going to have better health outcomes.
Right. So the healthier choices, the healthier outcomes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for
Good.
having me.
I want to thank you, Dr. Laws and Dr. Carty, for coming on this program and to speaking to us about Caribbean Wellness Week. How we in the Caribbean in general and in St. Kitts and Nevis in particular, that we can be well, and the ways in which we can be well, which would redound, of course, to individual benefit and societal benefit. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Next week we will be back with another edition of Working for You. We are going to have on our program next week members or officials from the National Housing Corporation. Of course, you know, the National Housing Corporation has been doing a lot of work in terms of providing homes to citizens and residents with its Unity Housing Solutions program. I want to thank all of our callers to today's program and all of you who listened to today's program. Do know that we appreciate you very much from week to week. I am Les Roy Williams. We will see you next week for another edition of Working for You. Until then, take good care.
Working for You. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Les Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.